Today at 4 p.m. Central Time, the Iowa Democratic Party chair, Troy Price, released 62% of the results from last night's caucuses. Now, no word when the other 38% will be released. And so I just want to really emphasize the fact that this is only 62% of the precincts reported, right? That's important because it's incomplete. But based on what we know so far, the Iowa state delegate results are as follows. Buttigieg received 26.9%. Sanders 25.1%, Warren 18.3%, and Biden, as we expected, doing very poorly at 15.6%. Then you have Klobuchar at 12.6%, Yang at 1.1%, and Steyer at 0.3%. Now what's fascinating is, again, even with the incomplete results, we see that Bernie Sanders has received the majority of voters. So he has the popular vote, 28,220. Buttigieg is at 27,030. Warren at 22,254. Joe Biden at 14,176. And Amy Klobuchar at 13,357.
Pretty close to Biden.
Yeah, I mean.
One of my favorite traditions in our democracy is that you.
What democracy?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at. Ignore that. So that you go through the graphics of the actual results that matter, and then like as sort of a goof, you show what people voted for. It doesn't matter, but it's kind of a cool tradition to like look at like who the people supported. I like that.
So I think okay, so why is there this weird difference between the delegates and the popular vote? Well, maybe in certain precincts, the disparity between the number of voters for Bernie Sanders versus Buttigieg was much higher, right? In other precincts, maybe it was closer.
Yeah, it's also possible that based on rounding, that hypothetically, a small gap in the numbers that hypothetically gave someone a popular vote advantage doesn't actually translate to another delegate.
Right, yeah.
Which is frustrating when it happens, but it can happen in any direction.
The only takeaway from this right now is that we don't have the complete results. So I don't know what kind of commentary or analysis I'm supposed to give you guys, because anything is irrelevant because we don't have the full results yet. But I do want to go to some sound of the Iowa Democratic Party chair, Troy Price. And he was well, I wouldn't say pretty apologetic, but he seemed a little apologetic about how everything has transpired. Take a look.
The bottom line is that we hit a stumbling block on the back end of the reporting of the data. But the one thing I want you to know, we know this data is accurate. And we also have a paper trail and documentation that have been able to use to provide information to help verify the results.
What's also interesting is how he predicted the Iowa caucuses to go. This is a video that was previously taken. This is him this is 5 months ago. This is 5 months ago, featuring him bragging about how he thought the Iowa caucuses were gonna be great, smooth. Take a look.
Just know this, on February 3rd of 2020, caucuses will take place in this state. We will be first, and they will be, without a doubt, the most successful caucuses in our party's history.
Oops.
Did we cut it before he said bazinga or something?
No, he really felt good.
It?
Yeah, 5 months ago he thought, smooth sailing from here. We're gonna rock it. They did not rock it, as we all know. They relied on an app that was faulty to say the least, and we'll get into every little detail of that app later in the show. But it's been a nightmare. And again, we didn't receive any type of results until today at 4 p.m. Central Time.
Well, we got 1.7%, and that's pretty good. And I agree with you that it's hard to really say much without knowing what that last percent is gonna be, that last 38. I mean, we have an idea of what's going to happen. We don't know in the end if Bernie's gonna continue his popular vote lead, perhaps extended, if that will be enough to counteract the SDE lead that Buttigieg has. But it does look like we will end up with them relatively close to each other, and them in first and second in some order, with Biden not doing particularly well. So, I mean, there are definitely lessons that can be drawn from that.
Definitely, and later in the show we will get into a discussion about what this means for Biden, and how how this has really been bungled by the Democratic Party in Iowa. But one of the other things I do want to note is that, look, there's a lot of anger and frustration over this process. The way the Iowa caucuses are run, does this make sense? Is it antiquated? I want to get into a discussion about that as well. But it's, again, really hard to tell you what we think when we don't have the full results. And I did expect Buttigieg to do relatively well in Iowa. He focused a lot of money and a lot of his attention in Iowa. And if you're that hyper-focused on one particular state, it isn't surprising that you do well. But what was surprising is how everything was kind of carried out and how disappointing last night really was.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for a process that is supposed to be, like, fundamentally it's not gonna be. It's gonna be a primary, which is absolutely corrosive to your soul, but it's the beginning of a process that is supposed to get us to a point where we have some catharsis. We, at least get rid of Trump, if nothing else, by November, and hopefully far more than that. I mean, I don't know about you, but I have, on some level, been looking forward to this for literally years. And it's not to say that New Hampshire might be great and Super Tuesday might be a fiesta, you don't know, but man, it really started off on the wrong foot.
100%, but
that's America.
Look, I know, I have Ben's voice in my head and I need to get it out because of course it went the way it did. I mean, Bernie Sanders did really well last night, so of course it went this way. Is anyone really shocked by it? I'm not shocked by it.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's probably gonna do even better in New Hampshire. The last poll I saw, he was ahead by 20 points. So he's gonna have an even better night. It's not to say that it couldn't go this way. I don't know what app they're using or whatever, but it hopefully will be a little bit cleaner. And I know that we're gonna talk about who comes out of this with like the wind in their sails or whatever, but the process is so bad that yes, it would have been better if it turns out that Bernie won, and we don't know yet, that he would have had sort of a clean victory and all of that. But nothing ends up being clean, and it's possible that Buttigieg could still win in the delegates, if not in the popular vote. And he's not coming out of this clean either.
Right.
Like I did see some questions about his premature declaration of victory. I think perhaps I'm in a bubble.
A lot of electile dysfunction here.
There is, and I think it leaves sort of a bad taste in the mouth. So I don't think that this is necessarily, and especially if he ends up actually winning, then the process, the problems, and his premature claim of victory, all make it less valuable for him if he ends up being the actual winner.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.